Hey everybody, it's Lavender Town, and today I'm continuing my ongoing series where I turn random stuff into cute character designs. And today we're going to be adding 3 more planets to our solar system of characters. So first up, we're going to do Venus. Now, Venus is the hottest planet in our solar system. Even though it's not the closest to the sun, it has a super dense atmosphere that causes it to have a runaway greenhouse gas effect, heating up the planet to extraordinarily high temperatures. Venus is also one of those planets that was close enough to Earth that it's firmly planted in a lot of our mythology. There's various different religions and societies who have referred to Venus, sometimes incorrectly, as a star, the morning or evening star, or even as a love or sensuality sort of goddess or female deity of some type. So of course, as she is literally the hottest planet in the sky, as well as being associated with love and sexuality throughout various different cultures, I wanted her to look like a very attractive female character. I tried to give her some major hips and just generally try to make her look like she has a sort of smoldery kind of look on her face. I don't know if that comes across. I also wanted to make it look like she's wearing more desert, sort of loose fit kind of clothes, because Venus is by and large a huge desert. There is no water, there is no opportunity for water because it's just simply too hot. Venus is also a surprisingly smooth planet, apparently. She doesn't have a ton of craters compared to other planets of a similar size. She also has quite a few volcanoes. It's said that lava on Venus is quite a bit different than lava on Earth. It's just speculated, obviously. It's impossible to really know, but just judging by the way that volcanoes form on her surface, it's sort of likely that the lava has a different sort of consistency and causes volcanoes to form in a flatter, sort of more pancakey kind of shape. Also, Venus is very difficult to observe with the naked eye because of that super dense atmosphere I was talking about. It has a very reflective kind of look, so light bounces off with the atmosphere and sort of blocks the view of Venus's surface. So I put some little reflective sort of shards across her face and shoulders. I thought that would be a fun way to sort of show that. I also put a little like lava tattoo on her thigh, and I just tried to keep the colors really, really warm. As you can see, Venus looks very, very orange and red and yellow, and it fits in with the heat of the planet. I tried to make the shape of her hair sort of look like these striations and these sort of flicks of orange and yellow across the planet itself, and I was planning to do some sort of weird like volcano ornamentation on her in different places, but in the end I decided against it, mostly because a lot of the volcanoes on Venus are pancake volcanoes, which basically means that they are pretty flat, and I couldn't figure out a way to make a flat volcano look good on her and not just look like some kind of horrible infected wound. So I decided to pass on that one. But now that she's basically all done, all she needs is a name. You know the drill. If you can think of a good one, please leave it in the comments. Definitely feeling something a little bit sultry and mysterious. The names I picked from the last video are a ton of you suggested Freddie for Mercury, which I absolutely loved. I really liked Mabel for Mars, it's kind of cute, and Terra for Earth is a perfect fit. Thank you all for your awesome name suggestions. Next up, we're doing Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is actually the largest planet in our solar system, and it also is distinctive for having these beautiful stripes across its surface, as well as a giant storm called the Great Red Spot, which has been raging on for years and years and years. It's gradually getting smaller and will probably eventually stop, but it is pretty impressive to be able to have a storm that is so huge that you can see it from this far away from the planet. So I definitely wanted to include that Great Red Spot somewhere on his design. I thought maybe like a port wine stain or some similar like large birthmark might be a good angle for that. I also used an amazing like photograph of the clouds on Jupiter as inspiration for his hair. Honestly, it's just like incredibly beautiful, and I wanted to sort of have that like sort of wavy effect into his hair as well. And because it's the biggest planet in the entire solar system, I was originally going to make him pretty huge and bulky, but also because this planet is a quarter helium, it should be very light. So I ended up making him look sort of lanky and long, rather than like a big massive muscly character. Honestly, it was sort of a toss-up. I was really considering having this character be sort of an enormous character just because of the sheer size of Jupiter. I'm still kind of torn about it, but I ended up giving him a stripy shirt, of course, to represent the stripes across the surface of the planet. Also, it is reported that it's possible that there are showers of diamonds on Jupiter and a couple other planets, so I definitely wanted to feature diamonds on this design. I basically just sort of scattered them all over his face hair and a little bit on his collarbone. I just thought that would be really cool. Honestly, I wonder what you would even do if you were encountering a shower, like a rain of diamonds outside. I mean, on one hand, they're precious stones, but they're also some of the hardest and sharpest things that you could probably come across falling from the sky. So I imagine that would actually be pretty terrible if you lived on Jupiter, but it is a gas giant with no particular solid surface on which to stand or settle, so I don't think that we're going to be settling on Jupiter anytime soon. Jupiter does have a moon called Europa that may have a liquid water ocean, though it is probably completely covered in ice. But that is something quite exciting to imagine. Honestly, doing the research for these planets have given me a whole new appreciation for how interesting and cool our solar system is. I feel like a little kid again learning about them for the first time. There's just so many details where I was like, what? Wait, what? Showers of diamonds and an eternal storm that's been raging for centuries. Like you can't write fiction this interesting. So yeah, if you have any free time and especially if you're art blocked or something, you should just do research on something like the bottom of the ocean or the solar system, and you'll be inspired in no time, I assure you. But I ended up really liking how Jupiter looks. He definitely looks like he doesn't take any baloney from anyone. Looks very cold and calculated, but also, I don't know, I mean, I still feel like he has a certain sort of charisma to him. And I think the great red spot birthmark that he has makes for an interesting element of his character design as well. I don't often show skin conditions and birthmarks on my characters, and this kind of made me think that maybe I should add that more frequently, because it definitely adds visual interest. Next up is Saturn. Saturn is one of the most visually distinct planets because of its super visible rings. There are multiple planets that do have some kind of ring around them, but usually they're too thin or indistinct for you to see them. Saturn's rings though are so thick and dense that they really form quite a striking image, which is why Saturn is one of those planets that people tend to be able to recognize more easily. So obviously I wanted to use this ring and create this sort of cute angelic type character. I found myself often inspired when I'm doing these sort of planetary or the astrology series from before, that I'm more inclined to give them fantastical or more celestial, mythological kind of inspirations on the character designs, which has been really cool. When I was doing a lot more brands of food and stuff, I found myself really wanting to lean heavily on modern outfits and that sort of thing. So just by changing the type of thing that I'm basing this off of has really changed sort of my inclinations when it comes to dressing them and designing them. I wanted her to look a little bit soft and chunky, mainly because I just felt like it suits Saturn. I mean, all the planets are pretty round, so it doesn't make sense for any of them to be super scrawny, but just in the case of visual interest, I'm trying not to do that for every single character. I really do like how she looks though. I think it's quite cute. I decided to give her freckles as well because the rings of Saturn are actually mainly made up of little particulates of ice and rock. So I thought a little speckling on her skin might represent that in some way. I, of course, gave her some ice sort of accessories, I guess, because so much of Saturn are pieces of ice. So I wanted to sort of give a nod to that. Saturn also has tons and tons of moons and moonlets, so I gave her basically buttons down the front of her dress that look like lots of little moons to give a nod to how many moons Saturn actually has. And I gave some rings down to the bottom of her circle skirt, just to again nod back to the rings and the striations on the planet itself. The color of Saturn is pale yellow. That's mainly because there's a lot of ammonia on Saturn, which makes me think it would smell like pee, which would be pretty gross. And I paired that up with some gray accents to sort of lean into the ice, and also because the only other colors I can really see on this image of Saturn is gray. It sometimes completely wigs me out that like these are actual photographs of the planets. I always just assume that they're CGI, but like a lot of these are actually photographs of planets in outer space, which just completely boggles my mind. I also just had a moment where I realized that humanizing the planets and the stars and things like that is such an old tradition. Like so much of mythology were people looking into the sky and basically humanizing the elements that they saw, which is pretty cool. I feel like I'm in an interesting tradition. So now that they're all done, I actually really love seeing them all together. They look like siblings. They all have sort of a unified color palette. I didn't do that on purpose. That was really just because of the natural color of each of the planets. The gray that I put in with Saturn was sort of a choice, so I guess that's weird that that also connects with Jupiter. But anyway, I think that they're turning out really great. I can't wait to see the next three and how they turn out. And I think when they are all put together, we're gonna have quite a cute solar system going. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching till the end, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you to all of my patrons, including Bella Story, Kalpampong, Clockwork Construct, Dionysus Hagarillis, Dr. Casket, Elizabeth Album, Hope Chilsum, Imagine Creations, JJJ, Joseph Kopel, Carla Tapia, Cat Did That, Cured, Making Claire, Midnight Doodles, Micah Dactyl, Nora Cornelison, Okamore, Ollie, Rose Espinoza, Rosie Warlock, Sergeant Pendulum, The Artsy Moose, Uboyas Teat, and Zoe Stardust.